Now, 7 cabinet secretaries lost their jobs as President Uhuru Kenyatta announced the cabinet that will shape his second term in office.
So the president gave his 7 rejects diplomatic posts and pulled a few surprises in the naming of his second cabinet.
Well, the list has some CS's fresh faces co-opted into the government.
NTV's Brenda Wanga now on the long-awaited cabinet list.
Be headed by Cabinet Secretary Cicely Kariuki.
It had been the most anticipated list on the political scene this year, and when the president finally read the remaining part of his second cabinet, it came with changes in some of the key ministries. Leading the pack of new cabinet secretaries is Margaret Kobia, who had served as the head of public service. She now takes over as a cabinet secretary for public service, youth and gender affairs. Veteran journalist Farida Karone joins the cabinet as the CS for lands, while Simon Chelgui takes over from Eugene Wamalwa as the CS for water.
Foreign affairs and international trade.
Monica Juma, a former PS in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, now moves on to head that very ministry, while the former Director of Public Prosecutions, Keriako, will now head the Ministry of Environment. Ukuri Atani joins the cabinet for the first time, and he will be in charge of Labour. The Ministry of Sports also has a new face in the former ODM youth leader Rashid Achesa Mohammed. Peter Amunya, a former Meru governor, now becomes the Cabinet Secretary for East African Corporations. The President also appointed Rachel Shebesh, Ababu Namwamba and Nelson Mara to the cabinet in various capacities. The list also included major changes for the retained cabinet secretaries. Eugene Wamalwa has been moved from water to devolution, while Mwangi Kiunjuri, formerly of devolution, now takes over at the Agriculture Ministry. Amina Mohammed will now head the Ministry of Education.
Reassigned Cabinet Secretary.
Amongst those retained are Fred Matiang'i in the Ministry of Interior, Eden Mohammed in the Ministry of Industrialization, Najib Balala in the Ministry of Tourism, James Masharia in the Ministry of Transport, and Joseph Musheru as the head of the Ministry of Information and Technology.
I have also co-opted into cabinet on a need basis.
But the surprise inclusion in the cabinet is that of Raphael Tuju. He was until his appointment the Secretary General for the Jubilee Party. He has now been appointed to the cabinet on what the President has termed as on a need basis, meaning that he has no substantive portfolio. The new changes in cabinet means that some cabinet secretaries have been relieved of their duties in the cabinet. However, almost all of the affected former CSs have been given soft landings with ambassadorial postings. Judy Wahungu will now represent Kenya in France, while Cleopa Mailu has been proposed to represent Kenya at the UN in Geneva. Kiema Kilonzo now moves to Uganda as Kenya's lead diplomat, while former mining CS moves to Tanzania. Phyllis Kandie moves to Belgium, while former agriculture CS Willie Bett will be Kenya's representative in India. Jacob Kaimenyi moves to UNESCO, and former sports CS Hassan Maria will be Kenya's ears and eyes in Austria. Brenda Wanga, NTV.